Big Three. There's always something big happening in Nigeria. Something that gets people talking at home, in their offices, on the road, in the markets. On the Big Three, we don't just bring you the headlines, we go beyond them. Every weekday, Monday to Thursday, join us as we critically review the three biggest stories driving conversations across Nigeria. From politics to policy, economy to everyday life. If Nigeria is talking about it, you'll find it on the Big Three. The Big Three, more than the headlines. It's where the conversation lives. Only on Nigeria Info 95.1 FM. The Big Three.
This is Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Good afternoon, Abuja. Welcome and happy new week to you. I hope that you are all back from the holidays and prepping for the next one. For those of you, I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend, and he said that he knows that a number of his friends have said they are not coming back into the FCT until Wednesday. Just to encourage you, please, by all means, come back, get to work, get started. Another holiday is coming very soon, so don't be a truant. Basically, that's not to say that given the opportunity, I know some of us, even us here, would have liked to get the day off. But as usual, we are here bringing you all the stories, all the headlines, all the passionate and trustworthy conversations here on your number one talk station, 95.1 Nigeria Info. It is 7 more days. Is it 7? 30 days are September, April, June. Okay, so 8 more days before the end of this month. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to be wrapping up on the first quarter and moving into the second quarter of the year. I hope that you've taken stock of the things that you need to get done and that you're doing them as well. My name is Somi. That's S-O-M-I, short for Apenosomi. Welcoming you to Hard Facts. Today, we're on from now up until 7 p.m. And just as I shared with SWAT during the handover, it's going to be back-to-back lineup of conversations. We've got everything in the Big Three from as usual, we're always saying trillions and trillions and trillions of naira. We're going to be speaking about some of those trillions. We're going to be speaking about where some of these other monies go to that we don't tend to pay a lot of attention to. And then we're also going to be doing the security roundup. Those are the scope of conversation for the Big Three, which will take us to 4:30 p.m. We get to listen to sound bites, of course, of some of the other stories that didn't make it to the Big Three. And then at 5 o'clock, the one story that had Nigerians screaming, lashing out, crying. I saw a range of emotions all over social media to the point of speechlessness. I basically was speechless for a while. The Ozoro conversation. We're going to be looking at the intersection between culture, tradition, and the rights of women, especially as it has to do with gender-based violence. That'll be a question. We're going to have guests on that one. Apologies, my guest for the Big Three couldn't make it, so it's you and I, and which is just fine by me. I hope it is by you as well. 6 o'clock, we get to do eyewitness reports and situation updates, and that will take us all the way till the show ends. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to follow us there. Go to Nigeria Info Abuja. Don't just go there to stream. Actually follow, okay? Subscribe if you're on the YouTube. Follow and like if you're on Facebook so that we can engage there even while some of us are away from the studio. You may have some interesting questions that you're asking, and we'll be there to respond to them as well. That's the purpose of the social media handles, not just for streaming. Okay, having said that, let's get into our stories for today. First of all, we are going to be looking at the very interesting over 700 million pound deal that was signed. More information is beginning to come to light concerning that amount, where it's going to be put to use, and who is going to be in charge of those projects. Talking about the Lagos ports, yes, Tinkan Island Port, and the other Lagos port. It fills me now, but we'll get into all of the details of that. But before we get to that point, first of all, there has been a lot of outcry as to the fact that all that money is going to focus on just Lagos. Experts have come out to say that the ports, the plan to upgrade just the Lagos ports will deepen regional imbalance. And this is coming as the UK-backed loan was signed with the federal government of Nigeria, over 700 million pounds, or about over $900 million, if you're looking at it in that currency. I couldn't bring myself to... I imagine that if we're looking at it in terms of conversion to the Naira, we're talking trillions of Naira as well. But yes, maritime operators and regional advocates are arguing that the move underscores a persistent policy tilt towards Lagos, despite repeated calls for the vitalization of ports in the eastern and Niger Delta corridors. The Ijaw Youth Council has come out to complain about this as well. We've had calls from the east as well coming out to complain. Governor Moore put out a somewhat cryptic statement, addressing the fact that he was at that meeting in the UK, and the fact that he had certain interests as well. The Akwa Ibom Deep Sea Port was one of the interests that he had, but it was not addressed. So yes, industry players are saying that the decision to invest fresh loan funds in Lagos, where port activities are already thriving, is raising concerns about fairness and strategic planning. Now, the Sea Empowerment and Research Center, in a statement titled Rebalancing Nigeria's Maritime Future, Integrating Port Decentralization into National Reform Agenda Amidst Lagos-centric investment, said that this continued structural neglect of other national port assets is going to pose long-term risks to trade efficiency, foreign exchange stability, and inclusive economic growth. Now, these are some of the cries coming from all corners, talking about why all that fund was just poured solely into Lagos ports. Now, let's come back to the conversation around just how much is going to go into it and who is on the line to handle that project. Indications have emerged that ITB Nigeria, which is a construction firm owned by Lebanese-Nigerian businessman and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's longtime associate, Gilbert Shaguri, will be the one to execute the renovation contract of Lagos, Tinkan, and Apapa ports. That's the name that skipped me. So yes, this is coming out from Daily Trust, who put out a report in this regard. Last week, after that historic meeting, 746 million pounds export finance deal is going to support the refurbishment of these two ports. And checks have shown that Shaguri, whose conglomerate operates through the Shaguri Group, was part of the delegation to London, where the financing agreement for the Lagos Ports refurbishment project was sealed during President Tinubu's two-day state visit to the UK. Now, under this agreement, the UK Export Finance will guarantee loans. You remember when we were having this conversation last week with my guest, there was that thing of, is it a loan or is it a grant? It's confirmed. These are loans that have been guaranteed for the upgrade of these two port complexes in Lagos. Now, a report by Africa Intelligence in March of 2025 revealed that FEC, that's the Federal Executive Council's meeting in February of 2025, selected Shaguri Group and its subsidiary, ITB Nigeria, for this contract. And the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Gboyega Oyetola, had also confirmed in October of last year that the federal government approved the sum of $1 billion, which is 1.4 trillion naira, for the modernization of these two ports. Now, this is beginning to shed a little more light as to why there is this focus on the Lagos ports only. The minister who was speaking, that is Boyega Oyetola, last year, was speaking at the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport Nigeria conference, and it was in that statement that he indeed confirmed the amounts that was set aside for that. So now you've got the money coming in or on its way in by virtue of loans, and you're having Shaguri, who has handled key projects in this country as far back as 1971. He's been in Nigeria handling projects and also has been tied to very controversial conversations around certain monies and how they were used, if they were used, and all of that. So this is who is said to be handling, or whose company is said to going to be handling this renovation of those two ports. Now, it is also on record that Shaguri Group is handling the 15 trillion naira, 700-kilometer, 10-lane Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road project designed to connect Lagos to Cross River State, passing through Ogun, Ondo, Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom State. And as a matter of fact, the first section or the first phase of the project handled by this group has been completed. Now, what are the major questions that will come about or that are already coming about concerning the details of this coming out? Some people would say, is it because he's the president's guy? But there's a little more context to it, because the ITB Construction Group is well known for skyscrapers and the Eco Atlantic, but the concern maybe that experts are beginning to raise, or conversations that are beginning to be had, is what is their track record with maritime infrastructure? Why was a civil construction firm chosen over global specialized dredging and port engineering giants for a project of this magnitude? That is one question that has come up. It's a question of competence, for example. And then there is also the question that has been raised in some quarters: was this a competitive open tender, or was it a selective tendering process that led to Shaguri being in charge of this, or Shaguri's group being in charge of this? And of course, the friendship between himself and the president also comes into question there. Now, the second concern that a lot of people have started asking or started raising is the matter of the fact that this is a loan. It is a loan. Citibank and UK Export Finance reportedly, who are reportedly involved, are financing this as a loan. It is not a gift. And this is happening in a period where Nigeria is spending massive chunks of revenue on debt servicing. And the question has become, can we truly justify another trillion naira debt for a port refurbishment instead of private sector-led build, operate, transfer models? And that question about the private-led sector, involvement came about because apparently an APM Terminals offered to invest $500 million, which will cover nearly 70% of the cost on the same project. And if a private terminal operator was willing to put up the cash, why is the government instead taking on loans to pay a contractor? And then the final question, the one that has come about because of the reputation of the person that is involved in himself, and that is the question of ethics and reputation. Shaguri Gilbert, as a matter of fact, has a documented history of legal settlements and convictions regarding money laundering and illegal campaign contributions in the U.S. In the spirit of renewed hopes, agendas, anti-corruption stance, is it appropriate for the federal government to make such a figure the face of Nigeria's critical infrastructure? He's handling one already, very critical, and this second one is said to be given to him as well. There is also the question about the NSA, Nuhu Ribadu, who had famously once said that you cannot investigate corruption in Nigeria without looking at Shaguri. Now he's in government, and then they're having this significant deal being signed. What are your thoughts on all of this? There is the economic impact end of it, but I'd like to hear from you. So we're opening up the phone lines, as is our culture now, to say, let's start talking before we get to other stories. It's 0700951 0000, 0809-597-4869, and on WhatsApp 0809-993-0137. Good afternoon. Welcome.
How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
It's always the case when you have somebody on board with N1.4trn, you have somebody, your friends, you're going to be favored. Just like you now, you have your friend, your family member who is your friend, affairs, might say that you have favor in contract. So you know the case, but you are talking about transparency. Is it really truly being transparent? That is another question for the goal. Whether it's transparent or not, that's what you and I don't know until maybe when they are step out of office, we all know whether they are transparent or not. But that is, by the way, anyway. But when you talk about ports, Tinker Island and the rest of the port in Lagos, I think it's high time Mr. President, have to think inward, have to look at other ports across the sub-region that we actually have, like Akwa Ibom, which you might know the governor is building the port there. We have Calabar, which that Calabar port needs to be graded and the road needs to be looked into. I think we have Port, we have, apart from there, we have other ports like in Warri the same time. So they have to look at the area whereby with this port we have the import ports where we have a lot of our change projects like agriculture, oil and gas, energy. This one will be for the energy, this one will be for the gas, this one will be for the crude. Like we have the Bonny port, which is working for the. We have the one for the gas. We have for what do we call the SMEs, the small and medium enterprise. This port needs to be open. We need to have. I mean, if you want in Africa, we're supposed to have one of the biggest and the largest and the expanding ports that will make things easier. That you go to this port, the train, you don't need to have your goods take maybe a month.
Okay.
24 hours, you can clear your goods.
Okay.
So if you don't put this port, and that will generate revenue to the federal government. I think they need to do. I think because talk about investing. Because if you're able to invest in maybe imports, in those ports, there's a lot of revenue coming from there. There is expand this port. The one for the agriculture, one for the gas, one for the crude oil, one for the aluminum steel, one for maybe other things. So that Lagos will not be choked. You don't just your goods will just be in one kind of. They have to open this port.
Okay.
For the sake of revenue and the rest of those that will come into us to
all right, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Williams. All right, then. Let's see. We have a voice note here.
Somi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing now? Nice one. Francis from Central Area right now. And Somi, I don't know if people are expecting any miracle. I'm not expecting anything less. So if you had given it out, if you had said Calabar port or Enugu or another port, I would be shocked too. I'm telling you. Everything is centralized in Lagos now. And that man don't mind stretching that Lagos Sea, making sure that he keeps expanding everything in that same Lagos. Lagos that is choked up. You keep pushing. Man, you carried everybody. If you do paparazzi, went to London to go and collect loan. What a shame. What a shame. And all the loan in one state. It's so pitiable. The kind of country we are living in. Where certain people are blind to the truth. We should continue. In fact, very soon you will colonize every state and put in Lagos State. That will be the only option. And we'll congratulate him too. Because we deserve what we are seeing now. Take care. Bye-bye, man.
All right, so please, next time you're sending a voice note, send us your name and where you are sending your voice note from so that we can acknowledge you properly. I will thank you for your message. Well, considering what you said, some have argued that those are some of the more important or most active ports, and so it is important that they're getting the kind of attention that they're getting, which I think will then bring us to the next question. Do we even have a clear timeline? Say they were going to go ahead, because it doesn't look like they're going to go anywhere else outside of these two ports. Say they were going to go ahead and commence the refurbishment or renovation, or whatever you might call it, of these ports. There's the question of how operations will be affected, especially if there's no clear timeline. And then you're also considering the fact that they are quite some of the most operational ports that we have. Is putting so much pressure on both of them at once not going to affect their operations? That is another question that has come up, but let's hear from more of you. Good afternoon.
Hello, Somi. Good afternoon. This is Belfry.
Welcome.
Calling from Usia. Yes. In your last submission now, you said that is the most active port. Who made it most active? What made it most active? Is it not because of the concentration on that particular port that is directed to Lagos? If it is directed to other particular states that has the same opportunity like this, say Port Harcourt or what is it they call, wouldn't we have that same port to be active too? So it's because we do not diversify. If we want to decentralize this country so that business happens, do you know the cost of taking a truckload of goods all the way from Lagos now to Port Harcourt axis to the western to the eastern part of this country?
Belfry, are you there?
Same thing we are seeing in Abuja.
Okay.
Every major business is centralized. Why not take to Gwagwalada? Why not take to Buhari? Why not take to Nasarawa, Kefi axis? So that we have a decentralized business. Hold up will be less and so many other things. But that mentality from 1960 is what we are still bringing down into this very day we are talking about. Thank you so much.
All right then. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Somi. Good afternoon again and again.
Welcome.
How are you today?
I'm well.
Happy resumption, okay?
Thank you.
My name is Vitalis. I am calling from Federal House in Dubai. Talking of the issue of this port, Lagos has been so congested. And one of the reasons that made the federal government to move the capital from Lagos to Abuja is the congestion. And the port is one of the factors. So if you have lived in Lagos, just go to Apapa, anything from 11 o'clock, 12. Go to Papa and see the level of congestion, the traffic jam. If you are going to any part of Apapa in the afternoon, you can hardly find your way. Okay, there are other ports in the country. You see, it is unfair for the federal government to take the loan that every part of Nigeria is going to be paying and then concentrating it in a particular area at the detriment of other regions. There has been this talk about Lokoja Port that the other president, the late president, took part in the digging, ordered the dredging. For the whole of the northern part of this country, there is nothing like port around. And so if you have traveled by road from Lagos, just like somebody was saying, loading a truck from Lagos to the eastern part, can you imagine loading from Lagos to the far north, to everywhere? Would it not be easier if there is a port around Lokoja? Let people come there and load. It will ease the travel people go through, and it will enhance our road to remain in a state that is good. No one can travel by road because of the bad road. Because the same road we are talking about is what these trucks are plying. It is no good to, it is a disservice to the other parts of the country. Everything must not be in Lagos. I know the president and all his cabinet are all from Lagos mostly.
Okay.
Everything must not be in Lagos.
All right.
There are other parts. Remember other parts, my dear.
Yes, sir.
Try Lokoja. Take a chunk of that money. Dig the Lokoja port. And then you can see that from Onitsha to Lokoja. And then people can queue up around that area and then load to any part of the north.
All right, sir.
Let's try to. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vitalis. I appreciate you. Well, I mean, these are all great suggestions. I mean, but the federal government, in their response, talking about the fact that they've been having these discussions, especially regarding financing of these ports, years ago, and so they apparently, from their own point of view, did not consider a lot of all of these other things. But someone else wrote in saying, now we know why also the focus on Lagos Port, based on the business relationship between the president and Shaguri. Well, Let's see if I can take a message or two, and then we'll go to our second story. Good afternoon, Somi. For me, I want to advise the government to do the needful in respect of what the people are saying, because no matter what you do, okay, I want to advise the government to do the needful, irrespective, I believe is what you meant to say, of what people are saying, because no matter what you do, the people must talk. Mr. Oludade Abiodun with that one. I want to plead with everybody who is sending me messages over 2 minutes, please. I will not be able to play them. Less than 2 minutes. A minute, 30 seconds is great. Pushing that is problematic, but once you hit the 2 minute mark, I can't even go there. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Somi.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. My name is Ibrahim. Most times I'm calling from Lokogoma Dako.
Okay.
When people comment, we should comment from informed position, not from emotion and sentiments. The so-called seaports that people are talking about is not a brand new seaport they are building. It's an upgrade. It's only when you have an existing platform that you can upgrade. Even other seaports, do they have the capacity, utilization? And secondly, we are saying Lokoja. Who told them that River Niger is navigable? River Niger is not navigable. What the President Yerodo intend doing is to do a lot of dredging to allow small vessels. Who told them all these big vessels that can traverse from one continent to the other and pass through River Niger? It's not navigable. How many big ships can bet in the River Niger? They can, even small vessels cannot bet there. So what the president intends doing is an upgrade. I agree that other seaports in other regions like Port Harcourt, Warri and Co can also be opened up. But when you want to do something, you go first for the lower hanging fruit. So
okay.
This is what can benefit the economy of the country. We should just leave sentiment and emotion out of it, and we should talk from informed point of view.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I mean, you spoke about lower hanging fruit and speaking from an informed point of view. So let me throw in a little more information here that might, help you work through some of the complaints and some of the cries that some people are making. I'm quoting the Ohanese Youth Council, who also spoke on this matter, and they said, the British government agreed to refurbish 2 ports in Lagos, specifically Apapa and Tinkan, which stand at 60 nautical miles to the Atlantic Ocean, undermining the dredging of Osiakwa Ihiala Anambra Sea and Osemoto Oguta Sea in Imo State in 1958, a site boasting a natural harbor depth of 22 meters and is a mere 18 nautical miles from the Atlantic Ocean. Now, if what the Ohanese Youth Council is saying, then one would think that these particular ports mentioned in this part of the East are lower hanging fruit, or don't you think so? Okay, I'll just leave you to think on that. Let's move on to the next story. We're looking at a report that has come out from Budget, giving us a picture of what is happening concerning local government area funds and budgets. Now, there has been a lot of attention on budgets, matters of budgets. We've heard about massive underfunding across the MDAs and critical sectors of our economy as far as budgeting is concerned, but still we keep having budget presentations, and in these budget presentations we're hearing trillions and trillions of naira, whether it's at the state level, whether it's at the federal government level. I believe that at least 1 or 2 states hit the trillion naira mark when it came to state budget presentation. Now, there is that of the state, but then are you also aware that the local governments have their budgets as well? Well, Budget did, as they do best, went to track across states in the FCT, and then they've put out a report. It's titled Mapping Local Government Budget Transparency in Nigeria. And according to this report, you are having only 10 states currently publishing accessible local government area budget data. Now, I want us to understand what that statement is saying. We have 36 states. Let's just call it that. And out of all these states, with the Supreme Court ruling that separated local government funding from state governments, we have only 10 states. So this now is saying money is coming to you. it is coming directly to you. We know all of the politicking that happened post that Supreme Court judgment and how some states have tried to still manage it in such a way that they are in control of the funding and in control of the system. But knowing that these local government areas are getting monies directly to them, and then they're not doing what needs to be done in terms of putting out the data so that people can track the funding, I think is a key cause of concern. So big ups to Budget for doing this report. And letting us know what is going on. Only 10 states publishing accessible local government area budget data. And the firm that did this report said the budgets are maintained at local government sectors across Nigeria, clearly as I've already mentioned, and local government chairmen submit appropriation bills which councils approve, while monthly allocations are disbursed from the Federation account. Yet for most of Nigeria's 774 local governments, those budgets are not publicly accessible online. Now, Budget said only a small number of states are providing accessible data, and Ekiti State is topping that list of states who are doing what needs to be done nationwide. Budget also said the state publishes individual 2026 budgets for all its 16 government areas and 22 LCDAs, that's the councils, and each entity accompanied by PDF, town hall consultation meetings, and national chart of accounts. They present all of this, speaking about Ekiti State, meaning that of all the 10 states, even with the fact that 10 states have accessible data, Ekiti is top on that list, doing it as it should be done. But it also said Cross River State is strengthening accountability by publishing individual 2025 budgets as well as 2024 audited accounts and quarterly budget performance reports for all councils. Borno State also is doing fairly well, 27 local government areas, and they provided the consolidated 2025 budget along with individual council zone improvement plan documents, as well as the 2024 audited financial statements. Now, some other states with published local government budget documents include Ebonyi State, Osun State, Kebbi State, Kogi, Enugu State, and Kaduna State. Now, 6 states provided incomplete or outdated local government budget data. So these ones provided the data, but it wasn't up to date, basically. Imo State is on that list. Kano State published the first quarter report, but no audited accounts, no full year approved council budgets were found. I've talked about Imo State. In their case, there was no published local government budget, though a 2024 Accountant General LGA financial statement was made available. Ondo State, according to budget, only provided documents for 14 local government areas, and Anambra State published the 2026 LGA appropriation law without detailed line item budgets. Budget also said Ogun State provided only 2024 local government area data. Now, there are states that did not publish any at all, and these are Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue State, Delta, Edo, Gombe, Jigawa, Katsina, Lagos State. I'm emphasizing that one, and I'm sure you all know why. Nasarawa, Niger, Oyo, Plateau, Rivers, and River State, as of 2026, has a budget exceeding 1 trillion naira. You know, I'd mentioned that some states had crossed the trillion naira mark. Sokoto, Taraba, and Zamfara. All of these, no local government budget documents published at all. Some local government budgets were prepared, reviewed, and local government budgets across Nigeria. This is happening despite the fact that local government budgets across Nigeria were prepared, reviewed, and funded. But then the one mechanism that will make it possible for people to track, you're seeing this shortcomings across the state. So this is very, very key. And I don't know how else to state how key this is, because even at the federal level, we're seeing so many things happening in terms of budget, from whether they're not funded to whether they're funded, and then the monies don't get to where they need to go, and then you're having the most ridiculous line items included in certain budgets. If you were to take your time and study some of these budgets, even from the ones who met the, got pass marks all around, it would make for a more engaged citizenry to say, look, as it stands, I'm paying taxes, you are collecting money from me, And all of this money is going into the Federation account, which is being shared across the states and the local governments. And I am not getting the basic things that I need to get. So it starts with them even being able to put out the information. Then you have a citizenry who can get involved and get engaged and ask questions. But what we're seeing now is autonomy without accountability. They have been granted autonomy. Monies are being disbursed to them, and we're not seeing accountability for all of these issues. So if we were to ask questions, I will start with the fact that your local government area gets millions of naira every month directly. Do you know if that money is going into your local clinic or your chairman's new SUV? If you cannot see the budget, how can you complain? I'm asking this question so that we can also start asking questions to raise these issues and bring them to light. And then for the states that are providing data, some of them are just doing it to look good to the World Bank. Speaking about some of the ones who put out partial data, not full data. They put out the one that maybe can allow them get access to certain kinds of funding or certain kinds of attention can come to the state. But the one that requires that you hold your local government chairman accountable, is it really there? These are some of the questions. Again, I go back to the phone lines. Let's talk. This is happening across states in Nigeria. And it is abysmal. 07009510000 0809-597-4869 and on WhatsApp 0809-993-0137. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon to me.
Welcome.
Yeah, my name is CJ from Ottawa.
Go ahead, CJ.
Can you hear me, ma?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's about the agreement between UK government and Nigeria about people. Honestly, the many people, first caller, second caller, they have said it all. But what I'm saying is that the person that is commenting that emotion, to me, what is the emotion there? What is the sentiment there? This program is just to make your opinion, to talk your own and make your opinion, not to be categorized other people. There is a Calabar port, there is a Port Harcourt, many ports, 3 ports that are concentrating in Lagos. It's not doing anybody any good. It's not doing anybody. It's not good in Lagos to give you work and go soon to collect it. It's exactly what is happening in Abuja. Centralize all these things. But when you talk, some people will call and telling us that we are talking about emotion and sentiment. If Tinubu succeed, if Nigeria is good today, it's good for anybody. It's not when somebody contributes a meaningful and a reasonable contribution. Somebody will comment that is emotion. What is emotion there? And you people to correct it. Everybody is just to contribute his own opinion. Instead of we to contribute our opinion, some people are attacking contributors about emotion and sentiment. What is sentiment there? What is emotion there? The person that contributing, is it not the same Nigeria? Eh? Go to Lagos, see what people are passing through about the go-slow. Come to Abuja here and see what people are passing about go-slow. But when we talk, we say it's emotion, it's a sentiment. It's not good. Please, you should correct him, some of us, I beg.
All right, sir. Noted. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you. I greet you. Is my name, by the way.
Mr. Okay, welcome.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Call us back. Don't know what happened there, but we are here in the event that you do decide to call back. A few voice notes.
Yeah, good afternoon, Somi.
Good afternoon.
My name is Innocent. You see, in 2015, when Buhari came in, a young man trekked from Lagos to Abuja. He claimed he trekked. From that time, Nigerians, the suffering began and is increasing gradually. Now, this one came in. The first thing he did was to change our national anthem. Is it not taking us nowadays to renovate a port in Lagos? That means they are planning to move the federal capital back to Lagos. So these people, they are taking us backward. Nigerians, we want to move forward. Thank you, Somi.
Sir, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Is it Nigerian show?
Yes, it is.
Abraham is my name.
Welcome.
Some little contribution.
Go ahead, sir.
You see, the issue we are talking about is the leadership issue that is still far away from Nigeria. If we have a leader that really loves this our country, this issue of ethnicity and this issue of sentiment, project, carry billions to your cronies to execute without proper something. Without that is why we are still suffering in this country. We need leaders who will become. They are not rulers. They will become leaders. How can you go and borrow such a money? We have Warri Port, we have on a port in Port Harcourt, we have Calabar Port, we have the one they are building again now in the state government is supporting in Akwa Ibom State. And you are carrying almost $1 billion to renovate 2 ports in Port Harcourt. With this, no, this country is. We have to help ourselves. God will not come down from heaven to help us. Please, Somi is bad, and that is bad. So when you listen to all these things, I'm telling you, you will be discouraged. You will be discouraged about this country. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Hang in there. Perhaps we might, I don't know, it might be too late for this particular deal, but if there are going to be subsequent deals between Nigeria and the UK, especially seeing as our government is not putting the feet on the brakes when it comes to borrowing, perhaps, all of this discourse in the public space can make them understand the need to do some diversing to some of all those ports. Again, a key concern is how much the operational capacity of these 2 ports are going to be affected when this work on them starts, because, I expect that it will be phased indeed, but it doesn't sound like something that can be done in a week or 2. So it would have made some sense to have several other ports that can make up for what these Apapa and Tinkan Island ports may not be able to do in terms of operations when these renovations start, to say, okay, this one can handle this one can handle this, and then you redirect port traffic that way. This is me speaking from a layman's perspective. I'm just thinking the common sense of it, because you were doing this with the goal of improving trade and all the reasons they gave across that access, but some things are going to suffer if they are doing it the way. It's not like the coastal road. I don't know, other than the lands that have become a matter of contest in some quarters. There was no major traffic route affected or anything, or operations per se. There was the tourist aspect that had to be uprooted, yes, but we're talking about seaports here. How are you going to, or maybe they're going to do it one at a time. I don't know. But let's take this voice note.
My name is Alex. I'm voicing from Uye.
Welcome, sir.
Actually, when something favors you, you may not see anything bad in it. More especially Nigerians, you will see us beginning to do so much analysis. But when it doesn't favor you, that's when you begin to pick holes. All of us criticize Muhammadu Buhari for being a champion of ethnic, his government being one-sided. To an extent, Buhari even took it from Nigeria to Maradi, that's Niger. They were doing rail from Nigeria to Maradi. These are how he even took it to. Now, all of us were complaining, and when this man took over, we saw that we saw him as a detribalized Nigerian. Today, look at what he's doing. Majority of the appointments is being given to his tribesmen. Most of the work now is now Lagos, and there is no way you can make Nigerians to believe that everything must be in Lagos. Coastal Highway, Lagos. This one that we are talking about now, Lagos, and you are trying to justify it. Let us fear God, though. Thank you.
I mean, apart from the ports, there is development. I'm very, very sure they were to give the scorecard now. They would tell you about what is being done across various regions of the state. So just to be clear, that the conversation is around the seaports here. Not that everything that is happening in Lagos, but the seaports is the bone of contention right now. Kola from Ikpaja says, well, to add to your low-hanging fruits, can you compare the commercial activity in Lagos as it stands now to any other region of the country? Why would anybody spend so much on ports that might not generate commercial returns? Instead of complaining to high heavens, what stops the other regions from investing? Lekki Seaport is majorly privately owned, so all this talk about Lagos is not necessary. There we go, from Kola. Let's see. Let's come back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. Sorry about that. Call us back. Welcome.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Lady Somi?
Yes, sir.
Bokar calling from Kwagulada.
Welcome.
Thank you. Concerning the bill related to upgrading the port in Lagos, it's a right step in the right direction. But what we are saying is that the principle of federal character should not be limited only to granting political appointments or creating jobs opportunities. It should apply to citing national infrastructure. The southeast, south, from Ondo, the coastal line of Nigeria, from Ondo up to all south coastal area. They need a port, a very strategic port. Currently, I think Akwa Ibom is pursuing that agenda. Federal government should assist Akwa Ibom. If that port, proposed port in Akwa Ibom, is completed, it will help states like Benue, Taraba, Nasarawa, extension. So that is what we are calling. Lagos is already congested, and upgrading or building other ports, attracting ports to Lagos is too much of chaos. That is my take.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's take one final call before we go on a break. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Barrister Swan.
The name is Somi, sir, and I am not quite the barrister yet.
Sorry.
It's fine. I understand. I understand.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
So, my own take concerning the local government financial autonomy. To be sincere, I want to say it is a very wrong and indeed something that our government have not done, because you are allocating this money, but you have to ask yourself, where is this money going to? So I think it's not a joking matter, because there are things for Mr. President to automate like the democratic politician that we need to ask and quest for this allocation. Why are they being difficult? I understand that it is the structure by the state for the state governors by handling power to them, which is like showing the mighty side of them, and holding down the local authority. You understand? That brings a very rancor in political wrong attitude to in our political atmosphere. And concerning the seaport also, I want to say somebody has commented. It's about the capacity and the recommendation of the port, to the international world like this state to have agreed, or maybe due to the recommendation of the president or by their own observation to contribute, and it's a gigantic money, which I think Nigerian government and the brainstormer that went to that meeting and signing that thing should know what to do concerning. And they say you say maybe the benefit than us. I don't think even in terms of steel, they say maybe you say transporting of steel. So it will be enough for us to even carry those huge amounts, contribute and use it on improving on our steel, like the local jazz, the steel industry. I think we are going to gain so many from it.
Okay.
That's just my take. And the third story, it's run away from my.
I haven't shared the third story yet. That will be coming up right after the news. But you've responded to the two that I shared. I appreciate you. I'll just hang in there. We'll take a quick break. When we come back after the news at the top of the hour, we'll spend a little more time analyzing, and I'll be bringing the third story as well. Stay with us.
It's all.
across the country. I think we've got reports of multiple bomb blasts. One of them took out a bridge. The second one also responsible for killing of quite a number of people. All of these happening across parts of Niger State. First of all, the one about the bridge. On Sunday evening, along Wawa Luma Gufanti Road, terrorists suspected to be members of Boko Haram under the command of Malam Sadiku have reportedly blown up a bridge linking many communities and markets in Niger State with an explosive device. The incident, according to sources in the area, happened yesterday evening along the road mentioned earlier. It's supposedly a tiny, quiet road passing through Kainji Lake National Park, where two jihadi groups, Ansaru or Mahmuda and Boko Haram, are said to have established bases. Locals said the incident and its timing showed that the terrorists are determined to cripple local economies. It happened a day just before Babana Market. A resident of Wawa told Premium Times by phone. A commercial driver conveying traders to Babana on Monday morning said that the road had been totally cut off. No car could pass through the road because it was cut in two. Words from the driver. He said only those riding motorcycles were maneuvering through the debris under the bridge. Abu Fadail, a resident of New Busa, the headquarters of Bogu LGA, also posted a video of the damaged bridge. On his Facebook handle, said that this incident was another attempt to impoverish locals. He noted that 90% of all major markets in the area are accessed through this road, and according to him, the road also leads to Kebbi State and Kontagora through River Niger. It also links Babana and the Benin Republic. This happening yesterday evening. And on the heels of that, another attack, this time around also in parts of Niger State, but close to Woro in Kwara State. That one too, it was a bomb that exploded when a vehicle drove over the device, and that led to the loss of a number of lives. So yes, Woro, as we all know, is a Kwara State village where Boko Haram terrorists killed more than 70 people and kidnapped many women and children. This device went off near it, and this one occurred today on the Wawa Kaima Road, which links Niger and Kwara together. So you're seeing coordinated attacks happening across parts of Niger State. There is deliberate intent there. You're having Salisu Umar, the village head of Woro, talking about how bad things are in his community because of the constant repeated attacks. He had been displaced since the last attack on his community, and then this one also happened close to his community as well. So even when people are leaving from one community and fleeing to the other, it is not any safeguard. There's no guarantees that they're going to be better off in those other communities. But, you know, I can imagine how destabilized lots of communities are now across that state because of all of these coordinated attacks. The village head of Woro speaking was told that a commercial Toyota vehicle stepped on the explosive and all the occupants in the vehicle died except for a woman who had been rushed to the hospital. Now, numbers are beginning to surface about the casualties, but it is not clear yet at this time. So the police authorities in Kwara and Niger have not issued any official statements about the incident. Police spokesperson in the state had not responded to an inquiry sent to them. But there was also an attack in Borgo as well. So at this point, Governor Bago needs to change tactics. It's not exactly clear what he's doing to stop all of these attacks, but this is just back to back to back across the state. This is, of course, we at this point have to check in on our people who are living in those communities. I have been making calls all morning, and you know, it's just impossible at this point. Now, speaking about the security situation in the country, one thing that was mentioned, and I think it was Senator Ndume who highlighted this thing as well, is that a lot of these places where you are having resurgence of these assaults, that it is happening because there are not enough security measures put in place to hold territories that the military had freed from the stranglehold of these operatives. And it is just, I can't even begin to explain how saddening it is that you are having a resurgence. So in some areas, it is a resurgence. In some areas, there are coordinated attacks that are intent on, destabilizing completely those communities. In some instances, sending them out and them having nowhere to go, because even as you're sending them out, there's attacks also happening in these other areas. And at this point, some people have said, look, conversations about state police, what is it? Why is it taking so long? Why can't we start to see immediate implementation in some of these states, especially the ones who are, constantly under the attack by these terrorists? These are some of the conversations, and these are some of the questions that are being brought up. As of what day was it now? I think yesterday there was a report that some governors are still kicking against it, while some governors are saying yes to it. Even if there's not going to be harmonization across all the states, can we have harmonization across the regions? Can Kwara State Governor and Niger State Governor, or some of all of these governors who are within the same axis, who are sharing borders and all of that, coordinate and attack it? I can't explain it. I just can't make sense of it. Maybe some of you who are listening may be able to help us do that. But that's our third story for today. If you're just joining us, welcome. We have spoken about what is happening in terms of local government funding, and the fact that states are not, or local governments are not being transparent enough to say this is what the amounts are. But even beyond this one, at this point, I think it's beyond the local governments or even the state governments to come out and give us this information. We have seen from this report that there is no clear commitment on the part of these elected officials to show that they are transparent in their spending. They are okay to put out this budget data. At this point, I think it's gone beyond the states and the local government, elected officials, and the people need to be the ones pushing for this information to come out, so that if there is a case of, the money was appropriated but it wasn't funded, we can start talking about it now, not 1 year after, where you are now having an entire ministry come out to say that they got less than 1% of what was appropriated for them. So, budget again confirmed that these monies have been appropriated, approved, funded, and we should start seeing that across our local government areas now, because they have autonomy. Or is it just autonomy so that they can continue to chop and clean mouth? What are we going to do to also put pressure? The CSOs are doing what they can. What are we going to do to put pressure? Are we even concerned about these monies? Some of us celebrated it at the time. Some of us were excited. But what else after that excitement? Now we are, almost 2 years in, if I'm not mistaken, when autonomy was granted. And it has become another empty, sinking hole, black pit of a hole, especially in some of these states, that didn't even bother to put the documents out. So what are we doing? We've also talked about what is happening in terms of the funding and who is taking on that Tinkan and Apapa seaport renovation, right? Amidst the cries of imbalance and all of that, there is also a key component, and that is who is handling this particular deal. We've talked about that as well, and then we've also looked at the security situation. Let's go back to the phone lines. 0700951 0000 0809 597 4869, and on WhatsApp 0809 993 0137. I'll start with WhatsApp here. Somi, recall that while Abuja is the political capital of Nigeria, Lagos is still the commercial capital of the country, with headquarters of huge businesses well located in the state. It wouldn't be a bad idea to connect the upgrade of the ports to the immense economic opportunities and benefits that could be derived from the so stated, which may not be obtainable from other states in the country. Therefore, I want to believe the move by the federal government on the subject matter is strategic. Tokumbo with this one. And he says, by the way, the huge volume of economic activities at the Lagos ports will help better with the payment of the loan, which may not be the same with other ports in the country. Thank you, sir. Let's hear from you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Somi.
Welcome.
My name is DJ.
All right, go ahead.
I'm calling from Kagini.
Welcome.
For me, what I want to talk about is the local government autonomy you were talking about.
Yes.
I want you to understand one point.
Okay.
If we see local governments, they have autonomy. They don't have. The truth be told, I have a friend who was fortunate to be a local government chairman. Local government chairman in Edo State. When we got close to him, we were asking him, why have you not been able to work on your area, certain places? You know, when men and men we are talking, it makes us understand that when money comes from the federal purse, the governor will divide that money into 3. Take that 3 parts, give him a mega part and say, go and pay salary to your local government workers. And it will remain a very mega amount for him to pay sweepers, those people that are sweeping the roads. He couldn't do anything. Each time we were asking him, why can't you confront the governor? Tell him you want to execute 1 or 2 contracts, you want to build road, you want to... He said the day he did it, the following day, he was asked to resign. And the guy had to resign. That is the problem. Because their loyalty is to the governor. And whatever the governor wants, he gets. If they dare ask and say, no, we want to do this, they are gone. How many local government chairmen have resigned in those states? Go there, it's acting. The guy was the local government chairman of Powaka, the largest local government in Edo State. He had to resign. Because the governor, why will you even question me? He told the governor, I want to grade this, I want to grade this road. Look at my plan. Look at the governor said, okay, now you want to ask.
DJ.
They don't have.
Okay.
That's the truth.
Okay.
Thank you, Somi.
All right, then. Thank you so much. I mean, I knew that governors tried to scuttle that whole thing, but is this really where we are going to be? I'm not really clear on the details of Edo State, if they actually had monies going directly to them, because I think that was the whole point, to say you're going to have a purse that will be funded directly. So perhaps they tried to scuttle it. They did their usual rules such that the money wasn't coming directly to them, and that's why perhaps we're having what is happening where you've mentioned it. But where does that leave us? Because, I remember the jubilation around the Supreme Court ruling granting local government autonomy was because governors had, sort of just... They had stolen all the money, basically. I don't know how else to put it. They had gotten hold of all of these monies and they have refused to let it get to the grassroots and all those key areas where it needs to get to. It's just the case of filling up their purses. But wasn't that the point of granting the autonomy, to say that your purses will be funded separately or independently of the state purses? Perhaps we need to get more clarity on that as well. Because if you're funded directly, why does the state governor still have a say? And assuming, they tried everything and this is the case, and the state governors are still in control of it, then where does that leave us? What does that mean for us? Is it that the state governors are violating the laws of the land, or is it what now? I don't know. I need to understand this, because at the end of the day, it is us who are suffering for it. It is us who are suffering. In some cases, some people are being funded salaries to even pay. In some cases, they're not even seeing the salaries at all. So where does that leave us? And where does our work as the citizenry then come in to engage? Because the CSOs who do the tracking, who do the checking, have done their bit. What comes in next? It's definitely not the state governor that is now going to fight to release this information now, is it? The president is not going to come down and force the state governor to do it. So where does that leave us? That's the question that I'm just asking. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, madam.
Welcome, Oga.
Yeah, my name is Lukman. I'm calling from Zamani.
Welcome, Lukman. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was laughing when you said that. Why are they disregarding the law? Yeah. There is a scholar that described Nigeria as a criminal franchise. He likened Nigeria to a criminal franchise. Like, high. When Tinubu came, I think, is it some month after, was sworn in. The Supreme Court gave a good ruling based on the Constitution. And there was jubilation everywhere, and but what did Tinubu do? he never implemented it. He never told the National Assembly to take the necessary step by correcting or readjusting that Section 162 of joint accounts. Because there's no way the money will not continue to be in the hands of government. That last caller, he spoke very exactly. He spoke the truth and the facts. And that's what is happening. It was in the last 2 years. A chairman of local government in Ogun State he tried to question Dapo Abiodun. He was removed. That's it. And what happened? The State of Assembly was supposed to be the gatekeeper, who was supposed to checkmate the governor. They even went and prostrate to Dapo Abiodun like a monarch. You understand? So the thing is like, Nigerian system, just the way I started, is like I organize something that, okay, you will be doing your own at the federal level, you will be doing my own at the state level, I should be doing, the other one will be doing his own at the local government level. Because local governments too, they are highly corrupt. Hey, my blood brother worked in the local government. He told me how they fabricate corruption. As in, somebody can just go and do one, poster and that's project, and they will go and withdraw money. They will raise voucher. What did they even call it? So the whole thing is, you can see that it's systemic. The federal government cannot check the local government. The local government cannot check the federal. Everybody is just doing his own at his own level. That's why you see, if you go to markets, all these small markets, you see some people, they'll put wood on road, collect money. What would they do? Nobody is questioning them on what they are doing with the money, and they will never use the money to even do anything in that market. So it's a big problem. The Nigerian system goes beyond all this adjusting the constitution. It needs a leader, because Tinubu is not a leader. I call him a leader. I always use the word ruler to describe him, because there's very between a leader and a ruler. Because I do not see a reason why Tinubu cannot, because of politics. Everything in his own that he does revolves around politics. It must have political motive behind.
Okay.
You understand? Because I do not see a reason why Supreme Court gave him and you cannot implement it. Look at it. That's why local government are almost useless. They are not useful. They are useless. They are not doing anything.
All right,
Lupin. Even gutter. Yes, thank you.
All right, Lupin, thank you. Let's get a few more thoughts in before we wrap it up. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome, sir.
My name is Adiola Victor from Lagos.
Welcome.
Truly speaking, we're in a serious mess with this country. When we talk about the local government autonomy, I know it will not work because our governors have become political emperors who believe they can do and do, and nothing will happen. Some of us are not comfortable with the Secretariat of the Nigerian Constitution that give them a military clause. And I'm an advocate of the removal of that clause, who covers the president, the deputy governors, and the governor. If they don't have a military clause, they will be behaved very well, because they have something that covers them. That is why they believe nobody can query them. So, if we want to reform the system and we want local government to work, the grassroots, that is where we're supposed to be in development. They cannot pay salary of workers, they cannot pay minimum wage, they cannot take care of health centers, they cannot take care of it because they don't have the money. The governors have pocketed them. And that's why some of us, we never support state police, whether people like it or not. They have hijacked the local government system, they have hijacked the state assembly, and when you give them the police force, then you are completely done for them. So, let us reform the constitution. Remove the military clause. They will behave very well. Because if they know there is nothing covering them, they will behave well and do what is needful. If we are ready to move this, if we have to remove this country forward, so people shouldn't be giving the military clause. It's a fraud. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you so much, sir. I think I have room for one voice note.
My name is Malam Power from Gwagwajua.
Okay.
Regarding the local government autonomy. In fact, it is very, very impossible in Nigeria unless something new is done. The local government chairmen are simply the errand boys of the government. There is not election in the local government, it's just an appointment. Either you agree to down to their tunes or you leave. The last caller who just gave an illustration of a Edo state, he just sent exactly almost all the 36 states in Nigeria. Almost all. That's what is going. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. We need to go on a commercial break. When we come back, just final thoughts on all the stories shared so far, and maybe one or two other contributions. It's hard facts here, and we are just about to wrap up the big three. Please stay with us. We'll be back.